There were a lot of things going on behind the scenes just prior to Charlie's demise that people didn't know about, that maybe you still don't know, but you're going to find out tonight. Number one, I said that I was going to address Tyler Bowyer. Now, it seems to me that I had been mistaken way back when I thought that Andrew Colvin, who I still believe is a suspicious individual, was involved in what went down on September 10th. It turns out that the person who had interrupted an interview when a young man on camera said, "Yeah, I thought Charlie had something in his neck explode." And then that person automatically ushered them aside and told them, "You're not talking." Now, why would somebody like Tyler Bowyer do such a thing? Well, it turns out that Tyler Bowyer has had quite an advantage, or has been given quite an advantage. And that advantage starts with the President of the United States. Tyler Bowyer has a rap sheet, a long rap sheet. Forgery, fraud, conspiracy, fraud scheme, practice, conceal. Goes a long way. It's got a lot of dirt on him. Well, Colin, if you can please, I need that tweet. Tyler Bowyer, to those who don't know, was pardoned by President Trump. Yeah, that's right. Tyler Bowyer was pardoned by the President of the United States in November. I didn't know about this. Colin, can I have the one that I asked for, please? Less than 2 months after Charlie Kirk was assassinated, Donald Trump pardoned 11 Arizona fake electors. Among the names pardoned by Trump was the COO of Turning Point USA, Tyler Bowyer. Now, this was just dropped a couple of days ago, and that's how I came across it. But I had no idea this happened. Now, again, it doesn't surprise me because Trump is pardoning everybody that, regardless of what level of criminality they've been involved in, if they've donated to him in any capacity, he's going to make sure they get taken care of. But the idea that this was somehow it speaks to a much bigger problem here. Because Trump has pardoned so many people, you tend to forget that there could be some people slipped in there that just didn't make the headlines. Again, I understand that some people may have heard about it, but I didn't hear about it. I think that this is a pretty big deal. I think if you're going to understand why somebody would be acting in a criminal behavior or would have criminal behavior, this is also somebody who apparently lives very high on the hog. He apparently has a multi-million-dollar home. Again, he works as the COO, or did work as the COO of Turning Point USA. Now, I say did because apparently he still does, but apparently there was a point where he didn't. Colin, if you would, please. Presidential proclamation was signed on November 7th. Tyler Bowyer was one of those people. Now, what makes this more interesting there is a letter that was sent on September 2nd of 2025. Colin? Just pull up what you put up there first. On September 2nd, 2025, Tyler Bowyer was demoted from his role as COO of Turning Point USA after Charlie Kirk announced major organizational changes. Charlie specifically pushed for a Doge-style internal audit, trace every dollar, slow the cash burn, follow the money, accountability. 8 days later, Charlie was removed. The same day Charlie died, Tyler Bowyer was rehired. The Doge-style audit was canceled. Great question. Why was Tyler rehired the same day Charlie died? The same day? I mean, come on, you make this too obvious. Why was the Doge-style audit immediately scrapped? Because it would likely show their financial ties to Israel and the State Department. Where is Erica carrying out Charlie's last wishes? Oh, she's, making movies for the CIA, probably. No one finds this odd? Of course we find it odd. Now, this is likely going to hit our channel again, but again, all roads point to Israel. And why does asking these questions make people so uncomfortable and angry? Because you're getting too close to the truth. That's why. Colin, can you blow up that letter, please? September 2nd, 2025. Dear Team America. You see, I'm sorry, but when I see Dear Team America, I think of Team America World Police. Effective immediately, Justin Strife is taking on a new elevated role with Turning Point USA as its COO. Since joining TPUSA in 2020, Justin has led Turning Point USA's fundraising division and in his more recent years has been involved in some organized operations, filling the COO role in many ways, but now officially taking on a title and expanded responsibilities. Scroll down, please. In the COO role, Justin will directly oversee development, events, finance, TPUSA Faith, media, marketing, productions, asset management, distribution, Turning Point Education, Blexit, HR, and legal. Justin will concede. Again, I can't read that shit. I don't know what the hell those words are. Andrew Cipher in the National Field Program. In this role, I have empowered Justin, among other priorities, to engage in an organizational-wide Doge effort. Justin will be assembling a small team to assist in this effort, which is focused on TPUSA becoming more efficient, becoming cost-effective, unifying organizational success around company-wide metrics and goals, and reshaping company culture. Now, if you ask me, these are all direct shots at Tyler Bowyer, among other people. Perhaps the grift was being run right under Charlie's nose for a long time and he just couldn't smell it. But eventually he did. And wanting to get to the bottom of it, I'm not sure Charlie truly understood how in over his head he was until the very end. At the very end, He figured it out, but by then it was too late. And that's what happened. You think I'm crazy? Why is Tyler Bowyer still working for Turning Point USA? Why was Tyler Bowyer rehired by TPUSA the day this removal took place? I don't know, if you ask me, something really fishy is going on here. And I don't see anyone disputing it. And why would they? I believe that there was a desire to do an audit. And when it finally went down, when it finally became obvious that this is where this was going, that they knew that there was going to be an exposure that, on the one hand, was probably going to ruin the organization. At least that's my interpretation. My interpretation is that they never would have been able to explain this away. It would have been way too big of a problem. And I'm not just saying that because I think Tyler Bowyer is the end-all, be-all problem within the organization. I don't. But I do think that he is a problem. And I believe it was a cultural, again, you're talking tens of millions of dollars, and this is just one NGO that gets funneled through this organization. And there are people that took full advantage of these opportunities, if you will. It has been reported that Tyler Bowyer was also a closeted homosexual and was basically taking advantage of young male interns with his position. Is it possible? It could be hearsay. But is it that far-fetched? Is it that far-fetched that people get drunk with power and then they start doing things that they shouldn't? That's my interpretation. You are not going to convince me that A, Israel did not have a hand in what took place on September 10th, just like they have had their hands in just about every single thing that has been going on politically for quite some time. And now you have somebody within the organization that clearly has a lot of skeletons that have not fully been exposed. Now, I'm not saying she's the end-all be-all and answers every question with complete transparency, but I'd like to think somebody who really knew the ins and outs of Turning Point USA, like Candace did, can say what she says here.
So another person who wrote us was telling me the story about Tyler Bowyer's involvement in like Maricopa County politics in general. Like, what did he do before in Arizona? And yeah, it's just the kind of stories. Again, he said he approached him several times about embezzlement. You know, Tyler was hooking up with young interns, young male interns, or young male workers. And he didn't even care. He's like, I will go on record because all of this happened. And I had the proof that all of this happened. And everybody knows about Tyler Bowyer at Turning Point USA. It's like an absurdity. But this is the person that is putting people into places of power at Turning Point USA. Like he's just involved. And something that was interesting is also how many Russian speakers there are. I was telling you, like UVU, there's just a lot of Russians and people who study Soviet studies. Even the president of UVU majored in Soviet studies. Tyler Bowyer majored in Soviet studies. He's a fluent Russian speaker. He spent years. And I'm going to assume when I say they speak Russian, that they're probably more tied to Ukraine. like kind of coming full circle on that, because a lot of times people wrongly assume that people who speak Russian are Russian. And actually, Ukrainians, until they like made it a law, they had to stop speaking Russian quite recently, were Russian speakers, right? Because
so now what Candace is surmising, which I think is even more reasonable, is I don't think people truly understand how many members of intelligence end up getting into these very high, well-paid positions within these organizations. Heck, they just come up with a really good backstory, print them up an amazing resume, have fantastic oratory skills, wow the audience, if you will. And then the next thing you know, somebody like Tyler Bowyer, much like Erica Kirk, ends up in a prominent position. What would Charlie Kirk know? No disrespect. But what would he know? Probably not much. Hey, this guy seems great. He seems like I could, you'd definitely be somebody worth working with. Are you sure about that? The internet is forever and they can suppress us all they want, but that's why we band together. We make sure the message gets out there. That's our goal. And Candace is right. And I believe that what we are witnessing here is a story that simply can't die. They want it to die because they want to get back to business as usual. Charlie was getting out of line. They had to make an example. Tyler Bowyer, he's a team player. He's probably intelligence too. So you know what? All is forgiven. We bring him back on. So who brought him back? That's the big question. Was it Erica Kirk?